Are we ready, ladies? Wonderful. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise as we begin our meeting for this evening. As always, I'll begin with a short prayer. Almighty God, grant us the wisdom to make those decisions that are in the best interest of all of our residents. May the Heavenly Father of us all bless those who have given the ultimate sacrifice and service to our nation, and may He watch over and protect our servicemen and women now guarding the gates of freedom. Salute to our flag, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. And let's see here, we're going to move on to our statement of publication at this time. Jessica, please.
Take notice that this regular meeting of the mayor and council being held this 28th day of November 2022 has been advertised and posted in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, Public Law 1975.
Roll call, please.
Councilpersons Conti.
Here.
June 4. Mar.
Here.
Novak.
Here.
Noha. Roberts.
Here.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, at this time, I will now ask for the approval of prior minutes of the mayor and
Are you
council.
able to hear me?
Yes.
Yes. And that will be Council President Mar, please.
Can someone else do it for me tonight, please?
Sure. Councilwoman Novak, please.
I make a motion to approve the minutes as listed on the agenda, subject to correction if necessary.
Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilpersons Novak.
Yes.
Conti.
Yes.
Mar.
Yes.
Roberts.
Yes.
Okay, with that, we're going to move to our proclamations and presentations. This evening, we have no proclamations or presentations. However, I do believe we have a need for executive session at this time.
And so, whereas section 8 of the Open Public Meeting Act permits the exclusion of the public from meeting in certain circumstances. Now therefore be it resolved by the mayor and council of the borough of Sayreville, County of Middlesex, State of New Jersey, the public portion of this meeting is hereby adjourned in order that the governing body may meet in closed private session for about 15 to 20 minutes to discuss personnel. Following the conclusion of said closed session, the governing body shall reconvene the open public portion of this meeting to consider any of those matters which may be properly brought before it at this time. The nature and content of the discussion which occurs in closed session shall be made public at such time as the need for non-disclosure no longer exists.
I move the resolution be approved on roll call vote.
Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilpersons Novak.
Yes.
Conti.
Yes.
Mar.
Yes.
Roberts.
Yes.
Okay, we're going to go back room 310. Hopefully shortly. There's a motion to reconvene.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilpersons Novak,
Yes.
Conti,
Yes.
Mar,
Yes.
Enoha,
Yes.
Roberts.
Yes.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your patience. In a few moments, we'll move forward with, we will have to make our executive meeting
Yeah.
vote public.
Yeah.
So I appreciate you entertaining us for as long as we need it with what I believe is one of the most important decisions that any council can make when it comes to running the town. So at this time, do we want to make that motion during this time? Because we do not have any introduction of any ordinances. We can make that motion now.
I made a motion to authorize the temporary VA and the labor contract. Can't hear you. Negotiate a contract with Glenn Skarzinski for BA for a salary salary and benefits not to exceed 180,000. 180, salary and benefits.
180.
Need a second?
Is there a second?
Is Michelle back on?
Michelle?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilpersons Novak,
Yes.
Conti,
Yes.
Mar,
Yes.
Enoha,
No.
Roberts.
Oh, that is correct. We need to, this was exec session, so
There'll be a reso at the next meeting.
there'll be a reso at the next meeting. But obviously they can speak at the open public session at the end of the meeting, at the end of this first meeting.
No.
You sure?
Yep, no, no,
It's not a resolution.
No,
this
the,
this is not a resolution, it's
It's
an
authorizing contract.
Okay, so you're not appointing,
no,
oh, you're just asking.
authorizing, right, correct. It's
no, go ahead for you.
It's authorizing Mr. Merriman and the acting borough administrator to negotiate a salary for Mr.
Glenn Skarzinski.
Glenn
Skarzinski.
So there'll be another resolution.
There'll be a resolution, correct?
So this isn't an appointment.
This is authorizing the business administrator
And Mr. Merriman.
and Mr. Merriman to negotiate a salary with Mr. Glenn Skarzinski for business administrator. What was the amount, Mary, that you put on it?
Cap of 180
Was that with benefits or without?
with benefits.
So the 180 is inclusive of the benefits. And that was seconded by Councilwoman Mar. Were you able to hear the vote? I know we have some people online. So it was a 4-1 vote?
Correct.
With the only nay being Councilman Enoha? Okay. We're able to hear all that? Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to move to the consent agenda resolutions, open to the public for any and all comments regarding the resolutions and agendas, the consent agenda resolutions. Please stand or raise your hand. There you go. Ms. Bacco, name and address once you get up to our podium.
Phyllis Batko, 5 Glen Court. Just to go back to the business administrator. So this is not an appointment. And you said it's not going to include benefits. So the 180 is inclusive of benefits.
You want to, would you just wait for 1 minute? This is just the consent agenda. Well, would that be?
Isn't that part of it? I mean, you already did it.
No. there's no
All right, so,
resolution.
all right, I'll move.
Yeah,
on to
just
that.
one more
I'll come
second.
back.
Okay, yes.
Okay, 297 and 298. It's always been my understanding from prior councils that you are not supposed to appoint a contract for a future governing
Hmm.
body. This is for 2023. So these appointments should occur on if your meeting is January 1st or whatever your meeting is.
That-
It's always
that's
been
accurate.
done that way.
But that is accurate, Mr.
When does it expire?
December 31st.
So I think that if you don't, what'll happen?
No, usually there's always a holdover if it's something's
This
not
is
appointed on
that's
January
not-
1st.
That's not what our,
We've always done it at the end. of the-
But is it legal? But is it
No, the
legal?
question is that I do not know, because I don't have the contract in front of me. The contract or insurance could lapse if it's not appointed.
Risk management.
But this is just a broker. Don't you
This
already
is
have
not-
your
this
open
is-
enrollment
this-
is already done? So people have
This is not-
already done that?
This is
Oh, yeah, yeah.
authorizing the execution of the contract renewal with Reliance Insurance Group as our insurance broker for health, dental, vision, prescription plans for 2023. This is.
But that's just for a broker. It's not like Aetna or Horizon or whatever. It's for the broker. It's a contract. Sort of like for your
Yeah, no, I
position, if
understand.
you're
I
not
understand that.
reappointed on January 1st, you're a holdover.
So the question is our health benefits won't lapse on that. It's just our
We have one more
broker.
meeting. We have one more meeting. We have one more,
Mhm.
meeting, right? So let's get clarification from Reliance Insurance Group LLC.
Can't hear you. Your mic is not on.
No, it's on.
Just bring it closer.
I may not be speaking clearly. But we have one more meeting in December. We can ask for clarification from Reliance Insurance Group LLC regarding the need for this contract to be renewed in 2022 versus January of 2023. So we'll
And
get clar,
298 as well.
yeah, both 297 and 298, we can carry for the next meeting for clarification.
Okay, and just for the record, I'm a recipient of the health insurance from this broker. And I want to tell you, the health, the dental, the vision, and the prescription are all horrible. So you might want to consider looking for a new broker, because to get money out of them, to file a claim, it takes forever. You constantly have to call to get your money. I've had to deal with the benefits people here for months to get money. They're really, really bad.
So let's have a motion to table 202, 22, 297, and 202 to 298.
So I make the motion to table 2022, 296, and 2022,
No,
297.
297 and
I'm sorry.
298.
97, 98.
297 and 298.
Right. And that will be carried until the next meeting of December, whatever.
13.
12.
12.
Okay.
Second.
Is there a second? Roll call, please.
Councilperson Roberts,
Yes.
Conti,
Yes.
Mar,
This is only to table the two, correct?
Right.
correct,
Yes.
Novak,
Yes.
Anoha,
Yes.
No, we have any other comments from the public in reference to consent agenda items only? I have one online. Let me go to attendees. Okay. Barbara, you want to come up? I'll take in person first, just because hopefully the person online has a comfy couch. And you're, go ahead. I'll take you first, Barbara.
Oh, I'm sorry. You wanted,
No, it's okay. Go ahead. It's fine.
okay. Well, this is just to commend you
Oh, thank you.
for
Oh, I'm sorry. Name and address, Barbara.
Barbara Kilcummins, 22 Schmidt Street. It's for what the authorization, it's 296, which I think is drastically needed. But even to look in for any improprieties, but even what Sarah does. And I'll give you a little history about Sarah. And this has been bothering me, and I've been meaning to come up, and especially to educate some of these council members about Sarah. We had an industrial commission, and when Jim Zagata became mayor, we needed an economic redevelopment because we had a zero tax base. We paid no taxes. We had, and when National Lead was leaving, Jersey Central, whatever, because we had DuPont's, they downsized, Hercules closed, National Lead. So we needed ratables in the community. What saddens me so much is Sarah has brought in no ratables. The reason is we have given them abatements. All Sarah has brought is 5 cogeneration plants. The first one was North Jersey, and that was by Sunshine Biscuit. They changed the name.
Mhm.
We had Red Oaks, we had O'Brien. Red Oaks was supposed to, and this was with the planning board, and I went to those meetings. They were supposed to give all the students laptops. That never came to fruition. O'Brien Cogeneration, which they got approval by DuPont's, they were going to provide energy services for the middle school and the high school. That never came. Saraville should glow. Cheryl should pay no. Then we have Neptune. We started out with a 10-year abatement. They increased it to 20 years. Now, the new one that just came in, Middlesex on Journey Mill Road, they gave a 30-year abatement. Then Sarah got involved in residential, Morgan Bluffs. What did they do? They gave a pilot, thinking there was going to be no kids, whatever. They said maximum 7 or 8, paying no education fees. So what has Sarah really done for Saraville? The big golden ring is National Lead property, and we're on our 3rd developer. I looked at several plans, the first one, the second one, never saw 2,000 homes. They agreed we needed townhouses by that to have activity by the marina, by the retail stores, restaurants. It was supposed to be like by South Amboy Park, how they have several hundred. Now, all they talk about is 2,000 homes adjacent to the sewage treatment plant. So really, Sarah, besides, needs a total, all the money that the county has given, where the Saraville has provided money. I forget how many millions too, was here when they agreed to that. So its entire need of an audit, financial audit. And where is the money going? Whatever. But what have they contributed to Saraville? We have no ratables. We're in desperate need of ratables. Just like I brought out years ago, we need a senior housing. We have Spinnaker Point. That's it. We have 2, what is it, Gillette, put in seniors. You look at Monroe and other places, senior housing, that's what we really needed. But homes that they have their own homes. So, and then we get taken to court for affordable housing. So I commend you for doing the audit and to hire professionals to look into it, outside professionals. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Kilcummings. Appreciate that. Glad it's finally made it to our consent agenda resolutions. Excuse me, I have a dry spot and I'm on my 2nd mint. Anybody else? Let's go online. Jim Robinson, I believe you were waiting to speak.
Thank you, Mayor. I never mind waiting for Mrs. Kilcummins. Jim Robinson, 11 Burrell Square. I want to talk about 299, which authorizes Hire and Gruel Associates to prepare a master plan or a reexamination of the master plan.
A little bit louder. I know I'm having a hard time seeing.
Okay, I'm sorry.
There you go.
Mayor, I want to talk about first, well, let me repeat what I said first, that it's, I never mind waiting for Mrs. Kilcummins to speak. And I want to talk about something that similar to what she talked about. Resolution 299, which authorizes Hire and Gruel to re-examine the master plan. That's not the purview of the governing body. That is the purview of the planning board under section, I think it's probably 25 and also in 28 of the MLUL. That is by design the function of the planning board and not the mayor and council. The mayor and council by design are a political body. The planning board is supposed to be a non-political body, and they are the ones responsible for the master plan, hiring the planner to conduct the master plan, to have the public hearings, and to adopt the master plan. The governing body has absolutely no role in that whatsoever. And while we're talking about the master plan, I want to pick up on what Mrs. Kilcummins said. The master plan is a very important document, but in Saraville, it is ignored by Sarah. The master plan is supposed to guide the planning board, and they do, but Sarah pays no attention to it. Sarah does what they want to do. Then they go to the governing body, who put in a redevelopment ordinance that sometimes differs from the planning board. And I'll give you the two most glaring examples. The connector roads. The master plan called for a connector road that would connect Cheesequake Road, the Arsenal warehouses, to Journey Mill Road. That was ignored by Sarah. The master plan called for a connector road that would be perhaps an extension of Lakeview Drive or somewhere in that area that would connect Washington Road to Main Street and would be used by cars that want to avoid all of the trucks that will be on Main Street as a result of Fulton's Landing. That was ignored by Sarah. And just to pick up on what Mrs. Kilcummins said, she was talking about 2,000 homes at NL. Well, that's Sarah's plan, 2,000 homes at a former industrial site. And on Main Street, we're going to have 2 million square feet of warehouses. That is bass backwards. That's not good planning. That's not what a master plan would call for, but that is what Sarah has called for. So my point is the master plan ought to be reexamined, certainly. The boards that have anything to do with development in town ought to rely on the master plan, not ignore it as Sarah has. And because frankly, while the planning board should have the most impact on development and taxes and traffic in town, in reality, it is Sarah that does that. And it shouldn't be that way. So, and my last point is also my first point. This is not the purview of the mayor and council. The planning board is supposed to appoint the planner who comes up with the redevelopment or reexamination of the master plan. That is not the function of the governing body. And while I was speaking, I just looked at notes here. If your attorney wants to take a look, I was right. It's 4055D-25 and 4055D-28. And in fact, in 25, it's it's the first function of the planning board. And I'll just read it to you quickly. The planning board shall follow the provisions of this act and shall accordingly exercise its powers in regard to the master plan pursuant to Article 3.
Right. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
That's all.
Jim, did you have anything else? So,
Now, that's all. This ought to be done, but it ought to be done by the proper body, by the planning board, not
Now-
by.
I'm going to have Mike respond because we did just try to reach out to Gruhl.
You're accurate on this.
Yep.
I'm not quite sure. I apparently there's correspondence that came out just last week from Susan Gruhl. So what I'm going to do is, you're accurate that the planning board has to authorize this. That's why I asked the borough clerk if the planning board did approve it, and I don't have a resolution yet. So what I'd ask, Jim, and you're accurate on that we table 2022-299 so that I can understand the proposal that was sent to us last week.
Okay.
Sorry.
You know what, my question would be this, since the planning board does not have any money, I'm assuming, like you said, I think what's going to end up happening, Jim, is that it does in fact have to go to the planning board if it hasn't been there first, which I don't know if it has been. And then I'm probably thinking that we might get that 68, that not to exceed figure here for us to allow it to be paid through the borough, more than likely, because the planning board can't authorize the cost of that.
Well,
Thank you.
what should happen, Mayor,
Go
respectfully,
ahead, Jim.
if I may, what should
Yes.
happen is that money should be put in the planning board's account. I mean,
Yes.
did they in November decide that they need a reexamination? That has to be done every 10 years. They ought to know that has to be done in advance, but you have no role in it other than
Okay.
to,
Yeah,
Put the money in there.
that's accurate. That's accurate, Jim. So.
Very good, Jim.
I
Thank
just
you.
need,
yeah. And let me, if I may, because I don't want to have to come back, but can I speak about the business administrator or do we have to do that next?
Not yet. We'll do that
Okay.
after we close the consent agenda resolutions and have a vote
Okay.
on those.
All right, thank
Let's
you.
just have a motion to table 2022-299. So I can get further information from the planning board.
So we have a motion. Is there a second? Second. Okay, roll call, please.
Novak,
Yes.
Conti,
Yes.
Mar,
Yes.
Enoha,
Yes.
Roberts.
Okay, anything else on consent agenda resolutions from the public at this time? All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'll entertain a motion to accept the consent agenda, close the public portion and accept the consent agenda resolutions. There we go. Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call, please. If it's part, I think you can have,
It is on the consent agenda resolutions.
and we pause the motions then, so go ahead. We might have to change the motion,
Go ahead.
but
So the RFP, what I had requested previously was to reduce the scope. The statement, any other department as deemed necessary is again too broad in my opinion. I think we want to concentrate on the initial investigation that was discussed. And should anything come up that warrants any further investigation, we should discuss it before just giving a blanket check to someone to investigate anything and everything for 10 years. Was it 20 years that we asked for?
10.
10. So I would like to keep it to the original scope of Sarah without going into other departments as deemed necessary until we as a council deem it necessary.
I think that's potentially dangerous because what will happen is when you turn around and limit the scope of an investigation, you then have to turn around, come back to the council, delay the investigation, turn around and delay the ability for the investigators to then gain information or have to seek other ways to do it. I see it as more of an obstruction. These are our books. This is our borough. I have no problem, and this is why I called for this. I want every single stone unturned. And I want to make sure that every department is operating above board. And I think that anytime you limit that, and we're the ones that are hiring these people, that it looks to the public like we're trying to restrict transparency and protections. I have concerns about potentially other departments that may have been impacted by, listen, the redevelopment agency touches a whole lot more than just redevelopment. It goes into code enforcement. It goes into, you name it, water, sewer, public works, the recreation department touches so many other departments. I mean, if we're going to do this, we need to do it right. I'll tell you right now, I highly doubt that the county, when they're doing their investigation, is saying, well, we're going to only limit the scope to this, to this particular crime. They're looking at everything.
May I
So
also add to
that would be my 2 cents.
One of the reasons that I would like to have our scope narrowed into where we perceive the problem to be is twofold. One, because of the cost potential for it to snowball out of control. And number two, the council is not an investigative body, so we're not set up to be an investigative agent. So we should go into this. with
That's why we're
open eyes
hiring
and
people to do
cautious.
it. You're exactly right. We are not an investigative body. The RFP is to hire in 2 different investigative bodies to look into the way things have been handled long before you have been here, long before I have been here, and long before many of us have been here. Again, I shudder to think what we may discover. But I'm even more concerned about what we don't discover and will later be an issue down the line for other boards, other bodies, and us as residents. Look at how long it takes for things to come to light. It's a concern of mine. What are we hiding? Open it up. If there is something wrong, and who knows, maybe it's nothing wrong with just what's going on in the news with Mr. Palando. Maybe we find something else. Maybe we find a new way to do something appropriately. Maybe there was an issue and we didn't even realize it. You know, this could actually find good things as well. We need to look at everything. We're not all going to be up here for, I don't plan on being up here forever. Don't we owe it to our residents? Don't we owe it to the people to do our due diligence while we're here? We have I've never seen a borough that's had to undergo the type of issues that we have. I think limiting it is doing just that. Yeah. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, I forgot. I had a problem with this, not the same thing that Donna did, but you're saying we should be we're going back 10 years, but we only list the current council people on the list of possible donations. I'd like everybody that's been an elected official in this town for the 10 years that we're going back, that these people have got, where we donations. Is that a
Can
substantial?
you see the RFP?
Yeah, I have it here.
Yeah, let me just, I don't want to pull it up electronically. Listen, I have no problem with
I
that.
just need to amend it to include
Oh, so I have no, listen,
I can bring.
put it all in.
Dawned on me, if we're going back 10 years, there's a lot of other elected officials.
Table this so I can put it on for the next.
So if we want to keep, again, Mary, we had a similar conversation not that long ago about having to move forward. The longer we wait, Will we be able to pass this with just that amendment, or is that a substantial change?
No, it's.
The resolution is just authorizing to advertise.
So we
To advertise, so you could adjust the,
So I can adjust it. What does it say here?
Until you all get
just
final.
change the actual thing.
Then
Include
you all will. once
all
we-
donations from prior and present council.
And I'm just, again, just concerned with any other department as deemed necessary is very broad without any kind of direction. So I'm very
well,
concerned about.
as deemed necessary is the direction. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Councilman Noho, your hand was up that whole time. I apologize.
Grateful, I guess to speak towards what Councilwoman Roberts is really getting to. I think it will be okay if we look, pending till we hire a professional, when this process begins, I think that we can get their initial expertise as to which departments may require a further look, but again, to what Councilwoman Roberts is suggesting in terms of concern, I think it is valid, but I think we won't really know the scope as to which departments we might need to look further into, and the departments that isn't really deemed relevant until we get an initial detail or review from the professional that we eventually hire. So, I'm not saying that what she's saying is not valid, but I think it's healthy for the professional we hire to at least start off with a general look, for Sarah first and any other department that they may have had dealings with from their perspective, from the professional's perspective. It shouldn't be for us to tell them, this is the scope for you to look at, and don't look at these departments. I don't think that will make sense to begin. So I just want to really thank her again for that comment, but I think that we're not there yet overall.
Go ahead and pass it and I'll make the revisions, or Denise will make the revisions to include.
Can't hear you.
Can you hear me now? It will include, so Denise, our acting borough administrator, is going to revise this RFP to include any and all donations from prior and present mayor and council. And so that will be listed on the RFP.
Mike, I also mentioned last meeting if there was a price cap being put on this, how much will our residents be paying for this?
There is no cap at this time. I'm sure you could entertain a cap.
Once you hire the professionals and know their rates.
But right now, there's no cap, Michelle.
Can you please entertain researching a cap for something of this magnitude so the residents know what they're getting themselves into?
I'll certainly ask Denise to start thinking about that cap.
Thank you.
And in the event that there's any like malfeasance or any issues that arise, I'm certain that we would then enter potentially into litigation that would help us recoup the cost of these things. But we're definitely not there yet. This is just to put out application, right? To turn around and hire. So take a look at these. All right. Can we move forward with the vote then? I think that was just for discussion unless anybody else has a question. All right, Jess, it's your turn.
Novak. Conti. Mar.
Yes.
Noha.
Yes.
Roberts.
Yes.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, now what, Borough Attorney, we have anything at this time?
No report, Mayor.
All right, public portion now for any and all matters. You can step up or raise your hand. And do I have one panelist with a hand raised? Okay, Jim?
Thank you, Mayor. Jim Robinson, 11 Burrell Square. I'll try and be very brief. Mayor, you and I were very much involved in the COA fight a few years ago, the COA mess, as I call it, a few years ago. And one of the
Yes.
things that I was very proud of is that I had conversations with the folks at Sarah, and ultimately a facility, I think it was 89 or 90 units, was built behind the active adult center, and that was supposed to have a veterans preference.
Correct.
There were some folks who were talking about on social media about a veteran, it happened to be in Old Bridge, not in Saraville, and he was homeless, and it got me thinking. And I reached out and got an application for the place, as it's called.
Right.
On Blaschka Street or Blaschka Road. And I took a look at that application just because it piqued my curiosity. Nowhere on that application does it even ask if the person is a veteran. And
That's a problem.
That's a.
I was shocked by that. You know, this thing, we were involved in the beginning and very happy with what happened. And then at some point in time, Sarah took it over and they saw it through, and I have applauded them for that. I think they did a good thing there. The Housing Authority is not involved. In fact, the chairman of the Housing Authority had questions similar to mine about who was running it and how you apply and how you get in there. Nobody seemed to know that locally. And I was a little concerned that, number one, I didn't see that other than what people said, you know, people posted on social media about there being a veterans preference for this. I didn't see that in any advertising or anything like that. And today, when I saw a copy of the application, there was no mention of veterans preference. And I got to tell you, I was very, very disappointed to see that. And I don't know who's responsible for that place. But that's a concern of mine, and
That's a huge concern.
those of
Um,
us who were involved in the beginning, I know we're very happy, we're very proud that we were going to have this facility with a veterans preference. Now, I did call there and I did hear that there are some veterans there. That, might be by happenstance or the luck of the draw, something like that, but they didn't do what I envisioned they were going to do and advertise this as a place that was giving preference to veterans. And when I saw the application, I was a little bit more concerned. And I think, I don't know who's running that place.
we'll Follow up on that.
But I think we ought to look into that.
I just motioned over to our attorney to make the necessary calls for clarification on that and to find out why that isn't being done.
Okay.
And
very good.
how, or how that process needs to be a little bit more transparent.
Yeah, well, do we?
Well, he got the application. So Jim, you obtained the application and this is for the place. It's
Yeah.
actually called The Place.
The
and I
Place.
bel-
Hey, Jim, could you email me that application?
I certainly will do that.
Thanks, Jim.
Thank you, Jim.
Okay,
Thank
thank you. And the other thing, I thought it was a little unusual. You authorized the acting administrator to negotiate with the incoming administrator at a figure not to exceed $180,000. That's going to be a hell of a negotiation.
Hear you. When it's a public meeting and he knows what the ceiling is, yeah.
Yeah, maybe Glenn isn't watching.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You
I've done a
know,
lot of negotiations.
it's not the first thing that's made me scratch my head today, I'll tell you that. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I don't know, Denise, I don't know if you've negotiated any salaries for the borough of Saraville or on behalf of the borough of Saraville. Have you done that?
I have not, Jim.
Okay, all right.
Good luck.
Well, this will be a first on two fronts because it'll be your first negotiation for one of the most important jobs in the borough. And also it'll probably be the first where the other side knows what the cap is. Very
Yeah.
interesting. Okay, that's all. Thank you very much. And I appreciate you looking into the place and making sure that we can get everything that we can for our veterans.
Well, real quick, what was our former BA salary? 159?
159
159. All right,
with no benefits.
without bennies.
Correct.
Okay. All right, any other comments? Yes, Ms. Bacco, now's your time. Yep.
Phyllis Bacco, 5 Glen Court. You said 180, so the cost of benefits is included in the 180.
I asked Councilwoman Novak to clarify her motion, and I believe,
Yeah, it was hard to hear, so I just.
yeah, did you want to clarify the motion again?
So if the benefits cost 40,000, then the salary goes to 140 cap?
Yep.
Okay, so is that what? Okay.
Go ahead.
That's not
Coun-
what it means?
I'm whatever they're going to tell me, but that's not the way I understood it.
Okay, that's how I understood it, but I didn't hear well, so I just want to clarify.
I asked for
I'm
clarification too. I asked if it was inclusive of benefits and she said yes. So,
So let's just pretend math. If the benefits
Well,
are
again-
40 and it's up
again,
to
we have-
180, then the salary can't be more than
Well,
140.
I guess we have Labor Council who's going to negotiate it and Mr.
But
Mayor-
I'm only talking about what the motion and the vote was, so it doesn't really matter what he says. I want to know what you
Well, it
voted
does-
on.
Well, it does, the motion was that to authorize, and Mr. Mayor, you could correct me if I'm wrong, but the motion was to authorize the negotiation of a BA position with Mr. Glenn Skarzinski, not to exceed $180,000.
But there was a benefits mentioned in the motion.
There are no benefits.
I think she's mentioning how we got to that number.
I didn't understand
Well,
what he said
again,
either.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Not to negotiate on or question, but I think the motion was pretty simple with respect to that. Mr. Merriman, do you have any clarification on that?
Yeah, there's no extra cost. My understanding, there's no extra cost to health benefits, so that's not a factor in the equation.
so he's not
Does he
going to be
receive
receiving health
from
benefits?
Saraville already?
Merriman?
So you are paying for health benefits.
But we're
So is
paying
that
for
going to
health
be
benefits.
deducted from the 180?
No.
Because the motion said, the word benefits was included in the motion. I didn't understand what it said because we couldn't
Mr.
hear well.
Merriman, do you
So
have
that's
any?
what I was asking for
Mr.
clarification
Merriman,
on.
can you come up to the
Do you have
mic?
any issues with what your authority is?
No, my understanding is the total compensation package would be 180,000. The current benefits that the borough is paying regardless of whether or not this person's employed. I didn't understand to be a factor in that.
So benefits doesn't matter in this case. You're saying that you're offering a salary of 180 is
Oh.
what we're saying.
Hold on a second.
Is that what we're saying?
Oh, wait a minute. I
Well, wait a
think
minute,
I
'cause
have
the
to
attorney
ask a
just read
different
The
question.
motion and he didn't use the word benefit, but we heard the word benefit
I heard the word benefit and I asked for clarification.
and we didn't hear the I didn't. hear the
Okay,
clarification.
so the clarification, all right, I think I know what's going on. Hold on a second. So your motion was to negotiate a employment contract with a salary not to exceed $180,000, including benefits, inclusive of benefits.
No benefits offered,
With no benefits.
no benefit.
Wait a minute. That's, can.
Wait, what is the minutes going to say?
Yeah, what's the minutes gonna say? I know what the recording's gonna say.
Mr. Merriman, do you have any issues? Could you clarify what the motion, what you're going to be negotiating, what, for the contract with Mr. Glenn Skarzinski, please?
Obviously, you heard something different than she did. so.
Well, hold on, wait a minute.
Yeah,
what I-
my understanding was the candidate we're talking about already receives benefits from the borough and has received benefits, that the negotiations would be over salary. There are no
Oh,
benefits an issue at this point. That was my understanding.
oh.
So
okay.
benefits, so the salary is 180. So we just use the word benefits. to
And we're just gonna
complicate-
pay the benefits on top
On
of that,
top
like
of the
we've
180.
always been. So we're negotiating, so it's $180,000 salary.
And then the
max.
benefits are on top
But
of
the
it.
benefits aren't really included in this because they're not gonna be negotiating benefits because he already gets benefits from the borough. Oh, so it's $180,000 salary. Unless Denise can negotiate like no one I've ever seen before. And we're already paying for his
Well, you're not
benefits.
going to negotiate lower when you already told the public.
Well, that's what the
told us
joke-
that it's
that's what
180, so
this
let's just
joke
use the
is.
180. I
So
mean, it's just-
now I get
So it's
it.
180 plus benefits.
Yeah, so the motion should have just been $180,000 salary,
Not accurate.
Period, is what it was.
period.
Not,
Right.
that's not accurate. His
What's that?
benefits will be paid whether he is our business administrator or not. So if we hire another business administrator, we would have to still pay Glenn's because he's a retired police officer.
I get that, but
We
you
all get
used the
that.
word benefits when you made the motion. So you complicated it. So that was all. And then we couldn't hear well.
Because
The
it made it
clarification.
look like, to people that didn't know, that we're already paying this gentleman's benefits as a borough, that the negotiation's going to include benefits and that it's not going to be $180,000 salary. It would be actually less that because we'd have to calculate the benefits in, but that's not what's happening.
No.
It's $180 salary if we negotiate, if Denise and our illustrious, both of you, good
I highly
luck.
doubt you're going to negotiate something.
And
less.
it has nothing to do with benefits because he's going to come in and say, I don't need benefits because you're already paying my benefits anyway. There we go. That's how it is.
Okay.
So the public understands. Good question. Great question. I think we got it. Judging from the looks on the public's face, I think they got it too. All right. How you doing, Mr. Bella?
All right, Frank Bella, 5 Keenan Street. So let me just reiterate this. So we have selected a candidate and Denise is going to negotiate a salary with that candidate. And it's possibly going to cost the taxpayer $180,000 in an annual salary. I don't think this is the best deal we could have made. And I mean, I know I don't get to vote, but as a spokesman for the taxpayer, this doesn't smell very good. Okay? Just wanted to say that just to get it off my chest. Because we have a former borough employee that's already receiving benefits, that has a history in the borough, and we're thinking about bringing him back. Nothing against Mr. Sarzinski. I just would think that there's better options out there, and I was advocating that, going back 3 or 4 council meetings, trying to get the best possible candidate, because it's such a crucial position to running the town. You, Mayor, you're always asking for transparency, and we talk about the problems of the past. The borough administrator is the key person, and I think you really need somebody that would be way above beyond approach. And to pay this kind of money, I think, if we advertise the job for 180,000, we might get more candidates.
That is a very valid point. And you will get no argument from me. I agree 100%. This is perhaps the most important decision that a council could make, because the business administrator really runs the town. It's not the council. We're not allowed to get involved in day to day. The BA is the front and center line for the residents. And I have to say, I came out and I apologized and I appreciated the public's patience. And that's why we were, so long in discussion. I think we should have been longer in discussion, my opinion. But it didn't go that way. Executive board minutes are sealed and, can't be, but needless to say, I'm sure you probably have an idea of why it was taking so long and who might have been the loudest speaker in there.
You talk about draining the swamp. To do this, the meeting after an election and before new council takes over, really doesn't pass the smell test, in my opinion.
Thank God
Thank you.
I lost my taste and smell of COVID over 2 years ago, because I don't think I could sit up here if I could still smell. Mr. Bella, thank you for your comments. I agree with you wholeheartedly.
Phyllis Batko. Mayor,
Yes.
there is a rule that executive minutes are confidential until they are no longer need to be.
Yes.
So there will come a time where this will no longer need to be. So those minutes will be able to be public. at some
Yes.
time.
Yes. Thank you very much. I do always appreciate that line in our executive resolution. I never quite know when that time's going to come. Anybody else from the public? Come on up, sir. I don't see anybody online. Do you? No.
Good evening. My name is Andrew F. Sawadlo. I reside at 34 Brook Avenue.
Hang on one second. Jess's hand's still going. You got that, Jess? Okay, she got it.
I reside at 34 Brook Avenue in South Amboy, Morgan section of Sarah.
Mhm.
With you, you just said, Mrs. Mayor, that things coming to light in the borough. I don't know if you're aware. On Friday, this past Friday, there was a shooting at Club Pure, which is, my house is like right behind, yes. So basically, it was 6 to 8 shots fired, according to several police departments.
I had no
It's under
idea.
investigation currently as we speak. And one of the bullets hit the back of my house.
Oh, my God.
So with that being said, I know this came into light before Mr. Lavrenko was in front of the board council saying, swearing up and down, left and right, that he was going to abide by the rules and the club and this and that, and it's still going on. There's been a shooting, another 15 feet, and my wife would have been dead because it would have been in the bedroom. So what I'm suggesting or something needs to be done. I know there's been this redevelopment plan for the club for a storage facility and so on and so forth. But I heard that it's not going to happen until like maybe February, March of 2023. Something needs to be done now. I served in the Marine Corps. I expect to be shot at in the Marine Corps, but not in my own house. Especially in a town like Sayreville. So, every weekend there's been, my wife's been calling, I've been calling because of the base from the club, other neighbors have been calling the police department and nothing has been getting done.
I am floored. Usually I have very good communication with the chief.
I understand it was a holiday weekend and stuff like that, but
Doesn't matter. There's no such thing as a
Yes.
holiday weekend. You wouldn't believe the stuff that I get on a holiday weekend.
yeah.
I had people show up at my house on a holiday weekend to discuss, something within the borough. And I was carving a turkey. This is absolutely insane to me. Not to mention my entire family's from from Morgan section.
Mhm.
And they live actually only 2 blocks away from you.
Okay.
Okay, not that that makes any difference. All of our residents need to. Ms. Biancamano, we're gonna need to have a discussion. These are the types of things that I believe as a council, we need to be made aware of.
I do understand. I spoke with Lieutenant O'Donnell a few times.
Okay.
And Lieutenant Castle Grant, I believe he got promoted. That they forward things up to the ABC, the liquor license and stuff like that to be suspended, but as of right now, I didn't hear anything back. And this has been going on months. So, I mean, obviously I have to draw the line now. If I have to file formal charges against the club, the property, I will do it. Because why now should I take my hard-earned money and replace a chainsaw that got busted, siding, that the bullet went through, the sheetrock in my garage? It's ridiculous.
I suspect the police were there and turned around and
Yes,
took photos.
because
It's an ongoing
didn't notice-
investigation.
I didn't notice the bullet until Saturday when
Yeah.
I went
can
into
talk
my
to you.
garage. So the shooting actually happens
Happened.
1:30 a.m. Friday morning. So Thursday night going into Friday morning.
And the club was in operation during that time? There was
Yes,
a,
the club was in operation, because if you go on Club Pure's website, they did put out a statement from the club saying that they had to cease all activities for the rest of the weekend because they cannot guarantee the safety of the clientele.
how does this go out from the club? And we.
If I may, Mayor,
Yes, please do, Mr. Onoa.
from my understanding, this is an active ongoing investigation. And, we did, I know that we did receive reports from the police. I know Councilman Junefort, from a public safety standpoint, may not speak on, how she's liaison with them, but I do know that, from my discussion or from my information from them, this is currently active, ongoing, and the owner of the club should be meeting with, is already meeting with detectives on this. Regarding the liquor license, as was mentioned, I know that from my understanding, that's under investigation by the state from the state level. So, to the public,
Yeah.
to the public comments, I do want to, personally express, my condolences for such a challenge, and I'm happy that there was no one injured. But again, I'm sorry that you do believe that nothing's being done. But from my understanding, from a public safety standpoint, this is actively ongoing, and I know that as far as the detectives are also in play with this too. And when it comes to their liquor license, I believe that's also under investigation by the state. So you can feel free to continue following up with our police department. It's went beyond the lieutenant, and the active, chief is on this as well. So just want to express that to you, and please understand that, so much is being done. Hopefully you don't feel like it's nothing.
So I thank you so much for that, Councilman Anoha, because I want to just retract a little bit of my outrage, because we always get, I know I always do, from the chief when there's an issue or circumstance like this, as well as my business administrator. The chief has been very good with communicating. We did receive an email communication, although it was later today when we were already in session, or at least close to session. So at least I feel relieved that this is being handled as I suspected that it would, but I don't like to be blindsided by information when I come, especially of this level of concern and the state and the health and the well-being of our community. So thank you for coming. Also, I'll just have you meet with Mike for a couple seconds, okay? Yeah, you can go over there.
Thank you.
I thank the Lord that both you and your wife are safe and, you know, I don't even like to turn on the news anymore, and I don't ever want to see Saraville in the news for something like this, and we have so much work to do. But thank you for letting us know. We will be in constant contact now with our police chief and making sure that we get things handled. It's my understanding, like Mr. Noah had said, that this has already gone to our ABC, but we have a serious concern now about that safety.
All right.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Okay, anybody else from the public? Yes, I do have one hand up. Oh, that's Christian. Christian, did you have anything else to add?
Sorry, that was my main comment. Thank you.
Okay, come on up. Sorry, I'm checking all hands.
Good evening, Karen Bieberts, 9 Burlington Road. I know that you guys would probably recall how many times over the past 2.5 years I brought up crime and safety and certain amount of officers on at a time and transparency. I'm always asking for transparency about the crime and the things in that capacity that are going on in the town. At the last meeting, I reiterated it again. Mary said that she would, could forward the report. But is there any way, in an effort of transparency, that we can put this on the borough website? I think people need to know what's going on. I think awareness, it's 10 o'clock, click the locks. After a couple of months of that, I remember saying to one of the officers or two, is crime going up around here? Like, what's going on? Don't just tell us to click the lock, to lock your car. Like, tell us what's going on. Maybe
So
people need more vigilance.
I did have a conversation with Chief Plumacher after our last council meeting, and we did discuss that as far as the public notification regarding the safety of our town. I personally believed in talking to the chief that to put it out from the borough perspective, I don't want to get the two entities confused. So I do think that what the chief is going to do is to look at notifications that they send out because they have their own platforms. One of the things that I would be concerned of is if we put it on the borough page and that turns around and it makes people want to contact the borough. And we don't have the authority to speak on those matters, right? Nor do we have all the time that information. So what they're looking at is what would be the best practices and the best ways to turn around and put communications out officially as a police department. And I think that was a smart way. And I think that was a very good way for the chief to look at that. So I know that he has that on his agenda. And I believe he's probably already spoken to some of his officers about how that would happen and what that would look like. So that is definitely something that did not fall on deaf ears. And I do think that the chief will do a nice job at making sure that we're as informed as possible about situations. One thing that I do believe is that I do believe that Saraville, relatively speaking, is a safe town. I do think we need to be cognizant of the fact that no town is 100% without crime. And I think it can be a very positive thing also for people to be aware of what is happening. But I also think we also have to temper that with really the good things that go on here as well.
Balance is always.
Balance is always good.
But it
And that's
seems
what
to,
we
you
talked
know,
about.
I mean, I've come up here and said, oh yeah, did you hear about the drive-by shooting in Main Street Townhomes? Did you hear about, there was armed robbery. I know it was on the Old Bridge side. I know Saraville assisted with the gas station on Bordentown. Over the past several months, there's just,
Yeah.
so yeah, it would be great, but I think awareness is always good.
Yeah. I
And,
think they are
you know,
definitely the best.
I know
the-
Michelle mentioned other towns that she referenced in prior meetings, a response to these interrogatories in mind with this, do post, that information. So people
Yeah.
can see what's going on. Maybe, besides click your locks, just have a better, we should all, I always raise my children that, always be aware of your surroundings. So it's always good advice, no matter how safe. There's no perfect town. There's always going to be a level of crime, but we should be tracking it. I think,
Yeah.
as the general public should be aware.
Yeah, so I brought that right to him and
Thank you.
he is definitely looking into it and finding ways that we can also balance and show people like, one of the other things I wanted him to look at is like, what has our crime ratios been over the years? Are we seeing improvement? Are there different things? So I'll follow up with him again. I'll clearly be following up with him tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, sir, come on up. Oh, I need to sign these as well, right?
Good evening, Syed Ali, 44 Kears Street. I've been meeting you guys through Zoom in previous meetings. Good to see you all in person. On the same topic of safety issues, just a small suggestion, if the town can have an alert sent, everybody has their, smartphone. Sometimes we get those Amber alerts. So if there's a robbery, if there's a shooting event, can the resident be warned to avoid the area or to be watchful for what's going on in terms of robbery and,
Did Chief Pluma, I can't, sometimes it slips out and I still get used to saying Captain. Did Chief Plumacher address that last meeting or was that 2 meetings ago? I think it was last meeting. So the police department has turned around and instead of using Nixle, which is what we used to use, we're now using, hold on, my mind, Hyperreach. Hyperreach. I always want to say hyperlink. Hyperreach. That is the communication chain to the public that the police department chooses to use now in the event of an emergency. The borough, we don't control that. Obviously, we would be too late down the line to put that out. And I believe you can sign up online, right? What's that? Yeah, right on our webpage, so you
On
can
your
sign up for that
okay.
very quickly. But they don't always put, like, they don't turn around and put out for crime immediately, which I understand because their first responsibility is to address the crime.
Right.
So we don't necessarily have, oh my God, avoid this area unless it's something massive. I would always defer to our first responders and to our PD to turn around and shut down those areas. So they do have something in place. How effective that is, I know at a certain point, I stopped getting the original alert system because I was getting things for all over the place. My phone was buzzing constantly. So, and I like to say that I kind of get my own hyperlink because the chief does notify me when things happen. But that's where I would
Yeah,
go.
it's understandable. When the crime has occurred, obviously there's ongoing investigation. They want to keep the information to the extent within the investigators.
Yeah.
But just to give like a little bit of hint, not to create panic in the public, but
Yeah,
just
but-
to, keep their eyes and ears open, see what's going on. That's
Yeah, I do know, and I'm not a social media person per se, but I know that the PD has the best social media around. So I know that a lot of people get their info from the social media and just from residents saying, did you hear that bang? What was that rattle? Did you hear that dog barking? Apparently the Saraville parents pages and stuff usually are even faster than the Hyper Reach. Even Ring, yeah. So right now, that's the closest I can do to turn around and say, sign up for the hyperlink, and then we'll talk to the chief again. I don't even have to usually talk to the chief about our meetings. He's usually on or at least watches. So I'm certain that he'll be giving us a ring. He's listening to us right now.
great.
Thank you.
all.
It's good to
Thank
see you in person.
Good to see you.
All right, anybody else from the public? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to close the public portion. Is there a second? Roll call, please. I'm sorry, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Wonderful. Do I have a motion to adjourn? All in favor? All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's keep rolling after Mary comes back. Okay, so couple minutes here. We'll go into our next session. I think you're good. You're good. Yeah, that one too. Gentlemen, I will ask at this time that you all please rise once again for a salute to our flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. Statement of publication, please, Jessica.
Notice that this agenda meeting of the mayor and council being held this 28th day of November 2022 has been advertised and posted in accordance with Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, Public Law 1975.
Roll call, please.
Councilpersons Conti.
Here.
June 4. Mar.
Here.
Novak.
Here.
Noha.
Here.
Roberts.
Here. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to move to communication and committee reports, starting with Councilwoman Novak for administration and finance, please. That's okay. You didn't switch.
Thank you. I'd like to make a motion to receive the following reports as listed on the agenda under A1, 2, and 3.
Is there a second? Continue.
Progress, Mayor.
Thank you very much. Let's move on to planning and zoning. Councilman Anoha, please.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to take the opportunity to receive and file the following minutes and reports for construction, fire prevention, and zoning and code enforcement for the months of October.
Is there a second? Thank you very much. Anything else, Councilman Anoha?
Nope, that'll be all for now. Progress and hopefully more zoning activities as the weather warms up in the new year. Thank you.
Thank you. Public safety, is that, yeah, Councilman Anoha, would you mind reading the public safety report for Councilwoman June 4?
Sure, we'll be happy to. So far we'd like to receive and file number one, the municipal court report for the month of October, and the Board of Health Registrar and County reports for the month of October, and the Police Department report as well for the month of October.
Okay, now we have a
Second.
thank you very much. Anything else?
Yep, we'll also like to receive and file the notice of retirement received for Mr. Joseph Monaco as lieutenant effective November 19, 2023.
Is there a second? Thank you very much. And anything under committee reports for public safety at this time?
Yep, I know that Councilman June 4 is not available today to really speak on it, but I know that there was additional public comments in terms of overall awareness to public safety. And I do want to emphasize that the public safety liaison primarily has worked with our police department to improve awareness when it comes to speeding, improve awareness, in terms of the police and their ability to be on patrol, to look out for different crimes like the catalytic converter theft in previous months. And I know that moving forward, we're looking forward to, learning more ways to improve our awareness for other crimes as well that seems to be a challenge in our borough. So just want to emphasize that, since Councilwoman June 4 isn't really here to really speak in more details, there has been a lot of efforts in the past few months to improve awareness, and we're looking forward to working with our police department to tackle more. So thank you for that, and progress nonetheless. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Public Works, Councilman Conti.
Thanks, Mayor. I move the following minutes and reports be received and filed, number A1 and A2.
Is there a second? Thank you.
Also, a notice of retirement received from Ken Piscatelli as a garage supervisor effective January 1st, 2023.
Second.
Like to wish Ken well and thank him for his service. Perhaps one day we could have him here in person and thank him personally.
He's been showing.
Yeah.
I think he.
I know.
Gonna miss him.
All right, so two things. For starters, the Shade Tree Commission lost a longstanding member in Stella Miskowitz. Just want to send our condolences her way and the family. And also the December 12th meeting, Shade Tree would like to announce their poetry contest winners. If that is okay to get them on the agenda for that.
Any objection? No objection.
All right, that's it. The rest is progress. Thanks.
I'm grateful that you brought up Stella, and my condolences and my absolute heartfelt sympathies to her family. My first election, Stella graciously and so kindly allowed me to take pictures with her. And let me tell you, that woman, the breadth of her life and what she has seen, what she has done was just truly remarkable. And she is, I'm sure, up in very good company, and she's looking down at us. And I just want her to know she will never be forgotten by me. She was a great lady. So I would, yes, I didn't want to I was just going to ask. So if you would all please just entertain a moment of silence, please, for Stella, as we remember what a great life that she did lead. Thank you. Thank you all very much. And I know her hair probably looks as stunning up in heaven right now as it did her entire life, because that woman's hair was infallible, as she was as well. Gonna miss you, Stella. All right. Anything else, Councilman Conti? Thank you very much. Water, sewer, and environmental, Councilwoman Roberts, please.
I was following minutes and departmental reports be filed, the Water and Sewer Director's Report for the month of October and the Environmental Commission minutes from October 4th.
Is there a second? Thank you. That was Councilwoman Novak, right? Thank you. Anything else?
I do have a couple of things. First off, I want to congratulate my running mate, Dan Balka, for his successful campaign and ours. And I do want to ask the council to consider having the swearing in ceremony on January 1st at noon. We were able to line up Senator Sam Thompson to swear us in, and it would be a great honor for both of us to have that occur on that date. Would the council consider that, please?
I have no objection. Does anybody from the council have an objection with that? What was the time again that you had Senator Thompson here?
January 1st at noon.
At noon. So Jess, is that okay? You can handle that? Putting that. Oh, if he's coming in, that's right, you're off the hook. Yeah, it's not a meeting. So I have no objection to that. I think that would be. Yeah, I think that's. Yeah.
I didn't think there was anybody in besides the three of us.
Yeah, that's about it. I mean, we had just
Yes.
swearing in and everybody ran.
So absolutely no objection to that. I think that would be great.
Would be grateful to anyone in the audience and anyone on the council to please feel free to attend. We're very proud of the accomplishment.
Yes, absolutely.
Looking forward to serve.
Sounds great. Congratulations, Dan. So no problem at all. I haven't seen Senator Thompson in a while, so. They're going to come on the 30th instead. Okay.
And I did, I'm sorry, were you?
No, go ahead, of course.
I did want to highlight some of the items from some of the committees that I am on. For example, we had, my glasses are not strong enough, so sorry, 2 water main breaks in October. 1 fire hydrant was replaced. Valve repair program continues. We also have the continuation of the identification of lead and copper lines. So if you get that letter, please respond to it. We do need to replace all of the lead lines. And I do want to give an update, since we talk so much about Sarah, some of the updates from our meetings, just to keep everyone apprised. At the last Sarah meeting, the agency designated Insight Property Group is the conditional redeveloper of the Club Pure site. The proposed project, a self-storage facility, is consistent with the redevelopment plan that the council approved last summer. The next steps will be Sarah's discussion of a redevelopment agreement with that redeveloper. So that's where that project stands. So we will hopefully not have the problem with Club Pure very much longer. The second note is next month, Sarah will be considering a redevelopment agreement with the developer of Sayreville Landfill number 3. The proposed project has the potential to bring in $15 to $20 million. We're still going to work on that to the borough by development of the contaminated former landfill for use as cold storage warehouse. As an added benefit to the borough, the redeveloper is agreeing to take over the borough's environmental responsibilities at that landfill. So it is still a problematic landfill, problematic piece of property, and we're hoping to have a developer that will not only bring us ratables, but also take care of that contamination. So I'm hoping having new faces on Sarah will have more positive and more transparent working together. So that is my hope for being on that. And our attorney is not in the room. I did want to ask how the peddler's license.
I believe he's already back there. Yes.
Because I was hoping to see that, that work out in a positive way. And we have to be next year for the peddler's license. Okay, did I forget anything else? Who's keeping notes from? Okay. I think that's it. Thank you. And I hope everyone can make it on January 1st.
Sounds great. Thank you very much. Let's move on to recreation, and that is Council President Moore.
Thank you. I'd like to move the following minutes and reports be received and filed. The Recreation Department report for the month of October 2022.
Second.
And as far as things coming up, we have our Toys for Tots, and we also have our favorite events of the year. One of them are the Holiday Parade of Lights. It's coming up this Sunday, December 4th at 6 o'clock on Main Street. It runs from OLV to Borough Hall. There's parade floats, there's youth organizations walking, adult organizations walking, and our amazing recreation department will be serving hot cocoa and cookies, and there will be a visit with Santa and Mrs. Claus.
Okay, anything else, Council President?
That's all.
All right, for my remarks, I hope everybody had a wonderful Thanksgiving and holiday break. I know the students came in more tired. I think was that tryptophan that's in Turkey was still hanging there. My students wanted another day. But hopefully everybody enjoyed the nice weather before we had a little bit of rain. I will say progress at this point, but there's always a lot of work to be done. I was reading a quote and it says, you know, with hope comes progress. And I have hope that we will continue to move this town forward, especially with the new addition of Mr. Balco joining us on the council come January 1. Moving on then, our business administrators report, Ms. Bianca Mano, the floor is
Authorization
yours.
To reappoint Jessica Morales as municipal clerk effective January 1st, 2023.
Any objections? No.
And she can't object.
No. All right, Jess, you're still here, my friend.
Authorization to cancel an unclaimed old tax overpayment. Authorization to continue participation in the federal 1033 program to enable the Saraville Police Department to request and acquire excess Department of Defense equipment. Authorization to submit a strategic plan for the Saraville Municipal Alliance fiscal year 2024 and acknowledging the terms and conditions for administering the grant. Authorization for Saraville Municipal Alliance to submit a grant application for DMHAS grant funding for 1 year in the amount of $5,000. Authorization to award a contract to LexisNexis for the desk officer reporting system. It's an online police reporting tool for citizens to initiate non-emergency police reports in the amount of $26,040. Authorization to award a non-fair and open contract to Albatron for the construction of a firearm simulation training room in the amount of $28,815 to be paid for using forfeited/seizure funds. Authorization to promote Michael Bailey to Supervisor of Garage Services and Public Works effective January 1st, 2023. Memorializing emergency purchase order issued to EMR Power Systems LLC through New Jersey State Contract 20-GNSV2-01162 for emergency generator repair in the amount of $37,583. And I'm going to go right into my CFO, which is a budget transfer resolution. Thank you.
All right, wonderful. As we scroll down, Jay, do you have anything today?
No report, Madam Mayor. Thank you.
I know that I'm going to speak for Mr. Dupont because he said that he didn't have anything additional. We have no reason for executive session. Public portion yet again for any and all comments. I think we took care. Oh, please come up. Did the trick. Hello, I'm so sorry. Name and address, please, for the record.
Demetra Wagner, 7 Roma Street. I just wanted to make a comment about the meetings. I know you have a rule about 5 minutes, but I've noticed the last few meetings I've attended, they haven't really been used. And I really think that a lot of people want to come to meetings, but like my husband, for example, has to be in work at 4 or 5, whatever. And I don't think he could stay up till, 11, 12 o'clock. And I think if everyone keeps to that and whoever's in charge of it, and this way it would be fair for everyone. Because there's no reason why we should be leaving at 11 or 12 o'clock at night. I mean, that's just utterly, utterly ridiculous and not professional at all. I know you have a lot of business, but we don't need to hear comments. I'm sorry, Mayor, you're a very nice lady, but we really don't need to hear comments about each and everything. That's just adding to the time. And if you have to give your comments, just keep them brief, like really brief. I mean, people have lives, we have to work to pay for everyone's salary in this town. And, and we want more people involved. How can they come to the meetings? Even if they can watch it at home, no one's gonna stay up till 11, 12 o'clock when they have to go to work the next day, unless they're seniors or, they're home. And seniors don't wanna watch it till 12, 15. I mean, I'm just a citizen and I think that a lot of people want to come, but when they hear these rumors that they end at 11 or 12, they're like, no, we're not coming. So that's all.
Okay, thanks.
God bless.
Anybody else from the public? All right, ladies and gentlemen, no one else from the public wishes to speak. I'll entertain a motion to close the public portion.
Close the public portion.
Second.
Roll call. Oh, I'm sorry. All in favor.
Aye. Mayor, before we adjourn, I had a legal question in the last meeting, but Mike's been outside. I wanted to make an appointment for Bernie Bailey to Sarah. We've been sitting on this for months now, and 30 days is long since passed, and really.
We've been waiting for a legal opinion on that. Yeah.
Wait, I mean,
Yeah.
I want to make an appointment. Because
For what position was that? One of the things that I had asked for was legal opinion regarding the appropriate appointment. Because I actually have 2 appointments that I would like to make as well. And I have not received from Mike anything regarding a legal opinion. So before you made your appointment, I've been holding my appointment until I had heard whether or not it was appropriate to make an appointment. So I would really hope that our attorney, if he received that legal opinion, would afford me the opportunity to make an appointment. She's questioning the redevelopment agency appointment. I had a question regarding the legality of the appointment of Mr. Delina. And then I'd also held off on the appointment regarding the other vacancy, which was Ms. Zepka, that we received later until you had gotten back with any legal opinion.
You had a problem with Bella too.
Yeah, I think
Yes, I did.
2 prior ones, and so I've done all the investigation. I still am waiting for council to get back to me for an opinion. I think this evening, there's 1 vacancy. Is that-
There's 1 vacancy and the 30 days is long.
Well, I had waited to make my appointment until we had heard from something from our attorney legally. But if you are saying that the 1 appointment that is available, I would like to make an appointment for somebody that had put in, and that would be Ms. Phyllis Batco to the redevelopment agency. So if we're going to.
It's no longer your appointment.
Excuse me, okay, this is where we get into trouble because the only reason why I did not make my appointment within that 30 days was because I asked for legal counsel and opinion, which I have not heard until Ms. Novak turned around and questioned it. And this wouldn't be the appropriate time to actually make that appointment, as appointments are usually made in the opening of our meeting of the first session. So if you're going to turn around and try to make an appointment now because you feel that you asked the attorney for that legal opinion and now you want to jump into that, I'm going to turn around and say, well, ladies and gentlemen of the public, here you go again. I have been waiting to make sure that we didn't enter into any additional legal issues, especially with a board that is now going to be investigated. But it wouldn't surprise me if you would want to turn around and do that. But my appointment would be for Phyllis Batco to fill that. If there's a second, then we can move forward, I suppose, with that. But, I'll defer to the attorney who I waited for to give me some type of legal guidance. Are you
Yeah.
going to allow me to make
Can we
my
do that now? Can we
Yeah.
do that right now in this meeting at this
Yeah,
portion?
you can make a second, but I'll be curious to see what my attorney's opinion is, since we have waited. And you know that I've been waiting to make my appointment until I heard from you. So are you going to allow me to make my appointment and see if it passes or fails? Or are you going to allow Ms. Novak to make an appointment in her claim that, well, there's 30 days has expired, as if there has been no question about this for months?
No, Mayor, you did question and you asked me to call a particular individual for an opinion, and I was gathering information. I've got the meeting minutes. If you are going to make an appointment, and there's a second for Phyllis Batco, if people would like you to,
Somebody has to first make a motion to accept the appointment.
Yeah, they would have to make a motion. I'm making, my appointment is to appoint Ms. Phyllis Batco to the redevelopment agency, because I feel that her knowledge, expertise, and serving on multiple boards in the past, as well as the council, the Board of Education, and being somebody that has come up multiple times already to question legalities of different things. I know she's in the know on a lot. That I think she would be a very good candidate for the redevelopment agency. Does my motion stand on its own and I only need a second?
No.
I believe there needs to be a motion from the council and then,
But I don't mind making the motion, but I want to confirm from the attorney that, from my understanding, this is something that typically is voted on during the meeting agenda. So I want to know from a legal standpoint, can we, since we're not in that meeting specifically, can we really have this conversation or entertain some motion as it's not on the agenda, from my understanding?
You can take it, but it's going to be subject to going on the next council meeting agenda to be voted on.
no, not
Okay.
for the redevelopment agency.
This is what?
This is for the redevelopment agency. One of the reasons why I believe that you have it in the initial meeting under the appointments is because then you also have more of the public here and they can speak on any and all items that have taken place. And actually you had a resident that turned around and said that a lot of people don't like even staying on this long. So who knows how many people might have stayed on or off, to her point. So I would much rather make the appointment during the regular time, but I don't have a problem with doing it now. Is Christian, are you going to make a motion to appoint Ms. Bacco? Because the attorney said that we can make the motion during any point of either meeting.
Oh, sure. If it's granted, I'd be happy to make the motion, to support Phyllis Batco for appointment to Sarah as recommended by the mayor.
Is there a second? It dies for no second. So go ahead, Mayor, make your appointment.
I recommend the appointment of Bernie Bailey to the planning board, to Sarah. Since its inception, Sarah has always had a member of the planning board on it. And it is not since January when the mayor removed Mike Diadio from the planning board. So since then, we've been operating without any member of the planning board. It's always good to have somebody on the planning board that, because everything when it leaves Sarah goes to the planning board. So I make that motion for Bernie Bailey.
Yeah, Mayor, I can definitely second that. Knowing Bernie and his credentials, he knows more about this town and land use than most people. So I'm a solid yes on Bernie.
All right, roll call, please.
Councilpersons Novak,
Yes.
Conti,
Yes.
Mar,
Yes.
Noha,
No.
Roberts.
So I find it interesting, just for the record, that to put a nomination forward just before we move forward to reorganization on January 1 is probably not a surprise, because if you don't have a second, then the motion dies. just saying. With that, Ms. Novak did mention the reason that, she did mention that I removed Mr. Diadio, the chairman of the redevelopment agency, from the planning board, and I did that with good reason because I had residents come to me and stated prior to a planning board meeting that they were coming to speak on a specific issue, and they were told to not bother, that it was already decided, and there was no reason to come up to the public session to discuss whatever they had conflict with. The moment I heard that and then had confirmation from several other residents, I immediately, in my capacity as mayor, removed Mr. Diadio as a planning board authority and voting member and my designee, because that is not transparent. That is not the type of government that we should be looking to support. So absolutely 100% he was removed, and he was replaced with a gentleman that actually serves on the State Ethics Commission. It's one of the appointments that I was very, very proud to do. Ms. Bacco, hopefully by January 1, you will have your seat on the redevelopment agency. With that,
Mayor, I just like
motion
to
to
say,
adjourn?
there was no problem with you removing. I had no problem with you
No, I
removing Mike.
understand
But
that.
what I'm saying is that, well, it was your appointment. You should have gone to the planning board members to replace on Sarah, and you chose not to.
I chose not to because the redevelopment agency right now is one of the areas in which I am most concerned about potential malfeasance or improprieties. And I wanted to make certain that there was some type of investigation looking forward and getting some type of information from my attorney regarding the appointments that were made there and to making sure that they were appropriate. So again, the fact that we waited until the end of the agenda session here in order for you to make your appointment does not surprise me in the least. And it's one of the reasons why we need to continue to move forward with transparency, call into question, and wonder why things are done out of order. So with
Mayor,
that,
I
is there a
explained to
motion
you
to adjourn?
why I did it out of order, because I knew we were going to need a legal opinion, and Mike was outside for the last half of the regular meeting and all of the agenda meeting. That's not my fault.
Were you outside? Well, regardless, I think everybody sees exactly what's going on here. We will continue to have to
I
fight
can't
and
wait for
battle
them to
for
investigate
transparency.
Sarah, because you were on there for 5 years.
I was, and I am very confident in the votes that I made. That's why I don't have a problem with
all.
moving forward with the investigations. If I had a concern about my own voting history, I don't think I would be calling for an investigation. Do you?
Well, I'm just saying, you made all the same votes as everybody else.
I've made the motion I asked for a motion to adjourn multiple times.
So moved.
Second.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. Have a great evening. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right.